Going on, everybody? Welcome to the Investing Bros. It is Monday morning, August 7th, and we've got a lot to talk about today. The news is not that heavy, but what is out there is pretty big stuff. It seems like every single Republican presidential nominee is running on some form of a platform to defund either the IRS or the Fed, and we're going to be discussing that and a whole lot more in this stream. We're also going to talk about some charts here, guys. It does look at this point like this week is going to potentially continue downside, but we got to look at the charts to see what's happening there. We do have some important data coming out later on this week, but make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you want to hear about it. We're going to cover that and a whole lot more on this show. I'm joined this morning by my fantastic co-host coming to you from Gainesville, Florida, Mr. T. Shroom. How you doing, Shroom?
Oh, man, Tim, I'm doing better than I deserve, and I had a great weekend, restful weekend. Amanda was actually traveling with some of her buddies, Amanda, my girlfriend, and, so I was...
Which, are there other Amandas out there that we should know about?
No, not really.
Okay, just making sure.
Not that I know of. There's probably some really good, from-the-heart Amandas out there, Shout out to all the Amandas. But I got to spend some time alone to really reflect on how good I am at video games, and I played a lot of video games while Amanda was gone. But I also meditated on some really wise quotes for this week. So, guys, check out this quote here from someone we don't talk about enough, Michael Saylor. He said, "There's nothing else negative to be said about Bitcoin. It's a perfectly engineered monetary system for the first time in 5,000 years." There he is, guys. If you don't know who he is, he is the CEO, former CEO. Now he's the president or something of MicroStrategies, which is the second or third largest holder of Bitcoin. So there you go.
I think second. I could be wrong, but I think they're second. But yeah, hey, you're gonna find me arguing with that quote right there. I believe wholeheartedly in that statement. When you say 5,000 years, I think potentially Bitcoin might be the greatest form of money the world has ever seen. Yeah. And I don't know why he's stopping at 5,000. Go back however old you think the world is. Let's just go ahead and put that number on that quote, and I would agree wholeheartedly.
What's the second best form of currency, Tim, that you know about in the last 5,000
years?
Well,
I mean, so before Bitcoin, you got to say that gold was the best form of currency. I mean, it literally was. It has the longest track record of being currency. Therefore, it had to be number one. And so Bitcoin, even though it doesn't have the longest track record, it's literally digital gold. It's protected gold. You can't go in and mess with it the way you actually. I mean, that was gold's one weakness. As great as gold was, because it was still a physical item, that's what we saw the Romans do. That kind of started to get at it. They started tinkering with it. They started cheating people. They would literally carve off gold off of coins to cheat people out so they could create more money. So that was its one weakness. Bitcoin having very similar features in a lot of realms, but you're unable to manipulate it. There is a fixed amount. We'll never see more than 21 million. We don't know what the fixed amount of gold is. Maybe some scientists do. T-Shroom, do you know that? Do we know how much gold is actually on the planet and what's mineable and what's not mineable?
They have an estimate. They have estimates, okay. Yeah. I don't know. But the current market cap of gold is 10 trillion. 10 or 11 trillion. So that's where Bitcoin is supposed to theoretically kind of get up to, and then from there, who knows? Because that's such a long ways off. But I'm glad that you gave your response of what you think the second best currency is of all time. You gave the textbook correct answer, but I'd say that kindness is probably the second best currency out there.
What a answer that all the moms will love.
Exactly. We're out here. We're doing it for the moms. At the end of the day.
Do it for the moms. We have to address, we're about to get in here and talk about chat, because, guys, we will talk crypto today, but we got to address something. Piper's yelling at us in the comments, T-Shroom. I don't know if you picked up on
I do.
This.
He's angry.
He's
an angry Piper.
Screaming at us about the banners. And here's the thing, Piper. You might be thinking that let's just take a little stroll down inside Piper's brain. Piper's he woke up this morning. He's feeling good. He's got his coffee. He's watching Investing Bros, because that's what you do every morning if you like money and you like crypto. And so he's just sipping on. I'm going to use this. My fill-in is my Celsius.
Nice.
Where are the banners? Why are the T-Shroom? You're messing up. T-Shroom, what are you doing with this stream? Why are there no banners on this stream? And he's getting very frustrated. I'll tell you this, Piper, it's on purpose. There are no banners because we got a new flow to the show that we are rolling out today, everyone. We are so excited to announce it. But you know what? I think before I announce it, I want to see the likes. We have 57 people watching right now. I want to see 57 likes, and then I will tell you guys what the new flow of the show is, so that Piper stops yelling in our chat. If you guys want to hear that, smash that like button. You have every capability of it. 57 of you guys are watching. Free like smash. Let's read names while we wait for those likes to go up. We hit an intro.
That's not the right
Yes.
button.
See, that was exciting right there. I like it. It was so exciting. We had to intro twice. We had the first commenter of the day. Speaking of Mr. Army Piper, he was in here first, everybody. So he wins the first commenter of the day. Right behind him, though, was a mellow fellow. So congratulations, 2 blue wrenches. And then you finish it up with third place, another blue wrench. Elo Brown was in third place. Congratulations to all of you guys. We also are joined this morning by Mike Play, by Ada Ace, which, by the way, we found out it's not Ada Ace. It's not Ada Ace. It is Ada Ace. Look for it. I'm really excited about some stuff we're working on with Ada Ace to help do some further education in the DeFi world. So shout out to him. Remington Peralt is here as well. Who else do we have? Crypto Ben Franklin, everyone's favorite non-president, is here. Mr. J is here. I'm loving all the green names in chat. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. Justin Eubanks is here as well. Stephen E. Shrum is here. Gia S is here. Speaking of, guys, we are literally 32 subscribers away from Gia S getting a blue wrench. Help us out. Subscribe if you are not subscribed already. Who else do we have here? Brian D is here. Cycle of Business is here. Elliot Locke is here. Let's see, who else do we have? Sativio Shramoto is here. Nancy Croy is here. Crypto Trades is here. We'll get 3 more. Al Bundles, Crypto Trappa. Let's see. Philly Skills 1428. And the last one, oh, this sucks. I don't want this to be the last name, so we're going to do one more after this because I cannot end on Crypto Set Guy as a former principal. He cannot be the last name I read in this chat. So the real last name that I'm going to read is DeJenny from the blockchain. Thank you, every single one of you guys who are here watching right now. Again, there's lots of names that I was not able to read just yet. I'm not able to read in this stream because we got to move on with the content.
We do.
It does not mean I don't love you. It just means it's time to get into the show. Crypto Billy 111, thank you so much. He just gifted 10 new memberships for Investing Bros.
Oh, wow.
And let's see who ends up gobbling those up. Got a lot of new green names coming in. Love to see it. Love to see it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Crypto Billy.
We didn't get to the 57 likes. We got to get to 57. If you guys want to hear the new flow of the show, you have to get to 57 likes. Maybe I need to just go ahead and get into the economic outlook, and then we'll get 57 likes by the time I'm done there, T-Shirt. What do you think?
I think more than likely that'd be the case.
Yeah, it's probably the case. Need more likes, guys. More likes. Let's go ahead and look at what is happening this week. So we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the show, but as we are speaking right now, we are here, as we're live right now, Fed Bostic is speaking. Fed Bowman is speaking. I'm interested to see what they say. They've been speaking since 8:30, but I'm assuming they're still speaking. I saw a rumor that Bowman was going to pretty much say that we need to continue to raise interest rates. So could be interesting. T-Shirt will bring us an update on that later on in the show. Tomorrow morning, Fed Harker and Fed Barkin, they get to speak as well. Not necessarily too much else. Wednesday, nothing necessarily huge. The 30-year mortgage rate could be interesting to find out what that's going to be. Previously at 6.93%. So anyone buying homes? Probably not. Thursday is going to be a big day where we get core inflation. We're getting month over month and year over year. So that'll be interesting to see what those will be. Could be a catalyst to maybe have Bitcoin spike in price or continue depending on what we're seeing. It does look like consensus is they're saying it's going to pretty much stand still. Core inflation year over year, they are saying potentially there's a small dip in the year over year, but in the inflation rate year over year overall, they're saying it actually could see an increase. So let's continue to watch what is happening there. Maybe what we hear from Bostic and Bowman, Harker and Barkin. What, these just sound like fake names. I feel like I was just reading a Dr. Seuss book. Bostic and Bowman, Harker and Barkin. It's very strange. Very strange. Yeah. They speak again on Thursday, by the way, a lot of them. I'm not going to read their names again because that's too much. Let's see. Friday, we have GDP for Great Britain. That's going to be very interesting. Back over in the across the pond, PPI is going to come out. Michigan consumer sentiment. That actually has shown the Michigan consumer sentiment has shown to be a very important piece of data. We won't actually get to cover it until Monday next week. So make sure you guys come back again. Let's take a look at what other things are happening here. Let's refresh our page. Let's go to 24 hours. Within the last 24 hours, this is strange, guys. There is a coin with more liquidations than even Bitcoin, and that is YGG, which, to be honest with you guys, I have no idea what YGG is. Not a clue whatsoever, but they did get $4.25 million in short liquidations. That's why they're red, 2.92 in long liquidations. Bitcoin, not that volatile day. I don't know if you guys have seen a chart recently. Bitcoin this weekend kind of just traded sideways, but there was a total of 4.8 million liquidations. 2.85 of those being short, 1.96 of those being long. So nothing really kind of moving Bitcoin right now. A lot of people getting wrecked, but no one's really making money is the best way to put that one. AP13, I'm assuming that's an AI of some kind. T-Shroom, do you know what that one is?
No, but YGG is Yield Guild Games, and it's a DAO that is up 482% on the month. It started, yeah. On the 4th, it was 28 cents. It's now 81 cents. So it's skyrocketing. They must have gotten some kind of funding or some kind of favorable whale movement into their coin. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, keep
cap.
moving on here. Again, Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, nothing much happening. There's not a lot happening on XRP, but XRP is leading the way of the green. They have had 1.46 million long liquidations. Not a lot this weekend. Again, not a lot moved this weekend as a whole. Doge, of course, is down as well. I think you're probably, well, where is the main one? I would say Sheeb is probably in here somewhere after having a tear. And I'm gonna talk about Sheeb TA today, guys, because I got some things right recently, but I've also gotten some things wrong. And I am a man who, when I get things wrong, I admit it and I talk about why I think I was wrong. But I'm not seeing too many liquidations on Sheeb. Oh, there it is over here. It's still, long liquidations, but it is kind of after having an explosive rally, it's kind of coming back down. Let's take a look at some other data here. Trueflation, let's refresh to see 2.31. So we're a little up here from last week. CME, let's see this one. Refresh for me, please, page. What do we have? Nothing's changing in the numbers on as far as what we're predicting for September. We are predicting a pause. What I'm interested to see is when are we predicting right now the first rate cut will be. At this point, definitely in March. Well, how close is January? January still overwhelmingly saying pause, but they are predicting the first rate cut will come in March. That could be very interesting. Let's take a look at what Bitcoin Fear and Greed is doing. Oh, look at this, guys. For the first time in a hot minute, we actually are back below 50. We touched 50 yesterday, to be fair, and now we're we touched 49, and now we're still at 49. So you guys can see here, when we go back to 3 months, this is the first 2 times we've been below 50 since all the way back on June 20th. Again, I still think this is hitting a little high on Fear and Greed Index compared to price action, but I do love to see that we were able to break below that 50. Maybe that could lead towards a bounce, at least a dead cat bounce for Bitcoin. And if you guys don't know what a dead cat bounce is, we'll talk about that during the TA section. But now let's go ahead and take a look at our market open here. You're going to notice, like I said before, not a whole heck of a lot of volatility here within the top couple coins. 0.07 last 24 hours for Bitcoin, 0.14 for Ethereum. Biggest one I'm seeing here, XRP down 1.8%, Dogecoin down 1%. Let's see if anyone else here in the top. Sheeb, there we go. I kind of referenced this. Sheeb, after an explosive rally, is down 6% within the last 24 hours. Bitcoin Cash up 5%, biggest mover it's looking like here in the top 20 or so. Let's take a look at the top 200 as a whole, though. Bitcoin Cash wins not only the top 20, but is the largest mover in the last 24 hours, up 5%, give or take. It's kind of fluctuating on me as we talk about it. Optimism, another big name that is up over the last 24 hours. Algo up almost 3%. Let's take a look at the biggest losers here. Shiba Inu takes the cake for biggest losers. XDC, after several days last week being one of the top movers, it is now finding itself second place on the biggest losers of the day, and it's kind of sitting there really close to Shiba Inu, so it could be interesting. ApeCoin, poor ApeCoin, and poor DZ, because he loves ApeCoin. I see ApeCoin in the red all the time recently. I'm not seeing a lot of days where it's green. Clearly, if you look at the chart, there were some, I don't know if they can see it, there were some green days because clearly the price went up here in ApeCoin, but it's in the red more often than it is in the green. That's what we're seeing for our market open. Let's go back to BroCam here really quickly before we jump into the TA, because I'm sure at this point we got to those 57 likes. Yeah, we did. 65. All right. So Piper gets his answers. Why is Piper screaming? Why are there no banners below or above us, T-Shroom? Here is the answer, everybody. We are changing the flow of the show. A lot of the beginning of the show is going to look the same. We're still going to have our intro. We're still going to do the economic outlook. We're going to do some TA. But we're going to start changing up the second half of the show to keep things really, really interesting. We're going to have 3 segments chose every single morning that we're going to do different things. We're not going to cover the stock market every single day. We're probably going to cover the stock market every time something big happens in the stock market, and we'll do other things when big things happen. But today, we'll do a stock market corner. We're going to start calling it a stock market corner, where for 10 minutes from 9:30 to 9:40, we're going to talk about the stock market as a whole, what's moving, what's big, what our thoughts are about where the economy is. And then we're going to move in, instead of just doing normal headlines in every story. By the way, this week, there's not a lot of stories to cover.
Correct.
Today, we're going to be breaking down a topic, having a big discussion about the IRS and its future, especially with all the news coming out of the political realm, and especially in the Republican Party, with everyone saying their platform is to get rid of the IRS. That'll be 9:40 to 9:50. And coming to you guys for the first time, listen, you guys have been asking for it. We've been thinking through how to do it. I'm going to explain the rules when we get there at 9:50. But today, our first ever Investing Bros weekly price predictions with me and T Shroom. I want to get Piper's predictions in chat as well, because he'll be joining us on Friday when we reveal this. But also, we're going to be creating a new channel over in Discord for our silver, gold, and diamond members, for them to compete and play with us as well, for them to give their predictions. If you want to know more about that, though, you got to stay around for the entire show. At 9:50, we'll break down what the rules of those predictions are, how to win and how to lose, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys are strapped in for the entire show. With that said, though, T-Shroom, you think everyone's ready for some TA this morning?
I know I am, Tim.
I feel like that was like I prepped you like a kid show. Are you ready, kids?
I can't hear you.
I can't say too much of that. We're going to get canceled for copyright.
That's right.
All right, let's take a look here at Bitcoin TA. First of all, guys, TA is always brought to you guys by Chart Prime. You guys know them. You love them. We love them. The greatest indicators out there, especially if you want to trade, you need some help, and Chart Prime is the greatest out there. Make sure to check out our link below for fantastic deals, 45% off your first month or your first quarter. But also, this chart is brought to you guys today by BitGet. Right there, guys. Today is the last day that you actually get to take advantage of a really special offer here for Investing Bros, where if you sign up with a new BitGet account using our link, you get a free $20. That's right, $20 to use for whatever you want. But you got to act today, because it is the last day that offer is available to you. Go do it right now. Thank you to both of our sponsors, Chart Prime and BitGet, for keeping this channel alive and keeping us coming to you every single morning. Let's talk about Bitcoin, everybody. Now, I want to start off by saying here, guys, it was a boring week as a whole, very boring week. I just drew a dot on my screen. I got to get rid of it because I'm figuring out I might have a little bit of OCD when it comes to my charting. Very boring weekend here. We got below this section right here, 29,066, and we could not really sustain anything above it. We had one candle on the 4-hour chart break above and close higher, and then the very next candle brought us back down below. There is some significance to this level. I want to go out to the daily chart, and we're looking here, guys, the news. We'll talk more. We talked about it in the economic open. We'll talk more later on in the show and future shows. It's looking like this week could be a red week. One of the reasons why is, even when you're looking out here at the daily chart, we've mentioned this last week, there still is just negative price action coming in. We're seeing the money flow continue to flow to the downside here on the daily chart, but the oscillators are not overextended. We do have one bullish thing here on oscillators on the 2 daily chart, where some bullish divergence did just come into play, but even then, when you go on up to the 3 daily, no, it's just not there. We're still moving to the downside. Going to be interesting to see what we do around that midpoint on 3-day, but 5-day, we're looking like we're still coming down. Weekly, we look like we're still coming down. As a whole, all of these major time frames are kind of screaming at us when it comes to the oscillators, guys. It's still have room to the downside. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart even. You guys can see the 4-hour chart, after breaking low and not getting overextended here, we are kind of, when you're looking at money flow was ticking to the upside, but it's rounding off. We're rejecting off of the mid levels of our oscillators. This is not a very positive sign, guys, on a 4-hour chart. It does look like Bitcoin potentially could be moving to the downside. Let's take a look at some of our indicators, though. Let's take down the oscillators. We got our dynamic reactor here on the 4-hour just screaming to the downside. We're nowhere close to it. Going to be interesting to see when is the next time we end up touching our dynamic reactor. Let's look at multiple time frame after rejecting here a couple of days ago on these really strong resistance levels where we are finding some support. We're bouncing off of a very low, a little order block right here, but nothing necessarily strong holding us up there. Let's go back out to our more macro. Let's go all the way to the 5 daily chart. I want to show you guys some things that are looking interesting about the level we are currently trading at. Let's start with that macro Fibonacci going from the all-time high down to what is currently the bear market bottom. Guys, we have been heading down. We didn't even make it all the way up to that 0.382. You guys know 0.382 was part of the reason why I was predicting a $36,000 price for Bitcoin, but we couldn't even get there. And where we're hovering kind of right now is not that far above, in the grand scheme of things, above our 0.236, down here towards 28,000. You guys also know we've been talking about on this channel that watch August more than likely be a red month, just like July was. Historically, that just happens. And potentially are coming down to this blue line at 28,000, and then a decision point gets made. Do we want to bounce off this blue line once again for the 4th time, or do we end up breaking it and heading down towards 27 and then $25,000? We have to keep our eyes on that. We have some stories that could get us there. Again, I told you guys, as important as numbers are from the Fed, almost just as important is going to be, where are we? What is said in these speeches, this Fed Bostic, Bowman, Harker, and Barkin, again, crazy names here. What gets reported here on Thursday when we get our core inflation? These are all things that could give us a bounce in price, but if they're not favorable, could be the news catalyst as to why the price does what we're seeing the TA kind of say. Even going further into more micro TA, let's go back down to the daily chart just to have less candles on the space. Let's look at Fibonacci going back here to June, the bottom where we touched blue here back in June, up to what is currently the high of the year. You guys are going to see another reason, another call, kind of calling back down towards this 28,000 level. We have the 0.5 coming in right there. You guys can see kind of mixing right there with that 29,000. Technically, it's like 29,159. We have the 0.386 that is being used as resistance as we speak. After wicking down almost to the 0.5, we are using this as strong resistance. So more reasons from the charts that Bitcoin is not necessarily looking bullish. There absolutely is still a chance. We are sitting in kind of middle zone. You're not going to get the strongest short at the moment or the strongest long, because we're sitting in a middle zone right now. But what I'm seeing on the charts, longer time frames, even the shorter time frames, I think there's more of a case that we move to the downside than to the upside. Today, I'm going to look at one more coin. In the future, I had to announce some stuff, so we were a little bit delayed with how much TA we could do today, but I will be doing a lot more TA over the next couple of days, and this new format will allow me to do more of that. But Shiba Inu, I want to talk about, guys. I told you there's some things that I'm getting very, very right. For example, XRP, I'm getting very, very right. Just in case you guys are wondering, we hit a new low this morning down to 60 cents. We're back up at 61 on XRP, but we did get as low as 60 cents this morning. I do believe we are probably not that far away from my 55-cent prediction. Now, a prediction that I got wrong, if you guys were watching the show on Friday where I got to do the TA for the BitBoy channel, did some good TA on Bitcoin, did some good TA on XRP, but I talked about Shiba Inu and how Shiba Inu was in a rising wedge, and I told DZ more than likely we were going to reject at this level and then move to the downside. Well, guess what, guys? I was wrong. The price ended up exploding. In fact, it ended up exploding all the way up here to the 200, went above, but candles kind of closed close to that 200 daily SMA. So I am a man who admits when I'm wrong. Guys, I was wrong, but we are seeing a little bit of history repeated, because the other thing we talked about here is there was a rising wedge back in June of 2022 where we broke the wrong direction. We went up and touched the 200 SMA and then fell back into the formation and ended up playing out the prediction perfectly. If you guys are wondering, you take the openings of falling wedge, move them over to breakouts, look at where price kind of bottomed out here over the next couple of months. We bottomed out right at that prediction. So are we seeing history repeat itself with this most recent fall? I was wrong that it would break to the upside, but are we going to see the price potentially end up doing exactly what we did last time, break back into the formation and then break to the downside, in which case we're still looking for a Shiba Inu price potentially to play out somewhere in the range. Come on now. Don't want to move the whole screen, just want to move the price. Could we see it repeat these bottoms we just had back in June and come back down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and then a 6 on Shiba Inu? Guys, I was wrong on this, but I'll tell you 10 out of 10 times. In fact, you know what? 100 out of 100 times, I am not going to change the way I trade rising wedges. Rising wedges more often than not break to the downside, not the upside. Just because I've seen 2 anomalies on Shiba Inu is not reason for me to throw technical analysis into the river and get rid of it. I still guarantee you, even though we see 2 examples of a rising wedge breaking to the upside, I guarantee you, go look at other charts, go look at other coins, go look at other trading projects. You're going to see more often than not these break to the downside, and I'm going to continue to trade them in doing so. So while I was wrong and I could have gotten a lot more money on a SHIB trade if I had continued to the upside, I'm not going to say I was wrong about TA, and I'm going to continue to trade TA the way TA is meant to be traded. And more often than not, this rejects right here. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about Shiba Inu. Does anyone even care about Shiba Inu here? I don't even know. I don't know if we have a large Shiba Inu community here in Investing Bros, but it is something that people made money on here recently, so I did want to address it. Let's go to BroCam here real quick. We're going to jump into some community. I'm a little over 927, but we'll get back on track here very shortly. T-Shroom. What are some announcements we have here in our community for today? I already announced the new flow of the show, but what else is exciting coming this way?
I think we have Magic Internet Money this week on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah.
We have our super guest. Super guest Wednesdays is back. We have Magic Internet Money, which we call him Mim. Mim will be here on Wednesday. You do not want to miss it. I'm interested to see what he says. He's one of the most even-keeled, unemotional traders we know. I think we'll also have scheduled here in the future to get Chris Inks back on the show. I think Chris Inks is leaning a little bullish, so getting some diversity of opinion is going to be really nice here to have over the next couple of weeks. Remember, everybody, that while Piper is out, we're going to be doing Tuesday tactical trades. So tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, T-Shroom and I will be doing some more trading. You guys with green names get to come in and request anything you want. So make sure you are here tomorrow night for that. But special announcement this Friday, because T-Shroom is leaving, Piper is coming out of his vacation. It's not really vacation. He's coming out of his rest for 1 day and 1 day only. Promise. He'll be on the show with me on Friday. It is going to be a Piper show. I'm not saying I won't be here and won't be talking, but as a whole, if you guys have been missing the Piper take, you're going to get a load of it on Friday, because it's literally the show flow on Friday is literally going to be me hosting and asking Piper a bunch of questions and letting Piper just give everything that's been, on his mind over the last couple of weeks out. So you definitely want to be back here on Friday. Do not miss it for anything. Also, speaking of Wednesday nights and our special guest Wednesday, remember to put it on your calendar, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The bros have an X space that's formerly known as Twitter Spaces that you got to be at. I don't even know what the topic is just yet, but the conversation is always fun, a lot of fun.
I think we should just invite all our exes on. It's an X space after all.
No, we shouldn't do that. We should not do that. Should not do that. Yeah.
And then ask him, what was the best part about Tim? Nothing. Just kidding.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, with that said, guys, I do believe that is all of our announcements for today. Make sure you, again, smash that like button. Guys, we have over 100 people watching, only 83 likes. Smash that like button. And again, I want to check on this. Don't go to my screen, T-Shroom, but let's see what our subscribers are at. We are so close to 4,000. We're sitting at 3,970. So 30 more people need to smash subscribe, and we get to 4,000. Gia S gets a blue wrench. You got to get us there, guys. Just make sure you're sharing everything we do. Speaking of everything we do, who here saw the XRP video this weekend?
I did.
You guys get to hear that a lot, but that video is doing very, very well. Over 1,000 views already on that video. If you did not get to watch it, go show some love to it and help our channel continue to grow. But with that said, T-Shroom, let's see here. Luigi Fibonacci says, yo, T-Shroom, let me come visit the Investing Bros studio. So he wants to come visit the art gallery. What do you think about that, T-Shroom?
Hey, absolutely. Some of these are for sale on OpenSea, and because I have them in my gallery, I get a percentage. So, you're more than welcome to. Just hit me up. Hit me up on Twitter and we'll
Mhm.
make it happen.
Also, I haven't been able to watch chat that much. We're about to get into our. It's gonna feel normal, but it is gonna be our first official stock market corner here on Investing Bros. We're about to get into it. But where's Eric Wallen? Where's Eric Wallen in chat? I want him to know because I'm not seeing his name in chat. Go figure. The one day Eric Wallen decides to take off and not come into chat, I wore a T-shirt just for him because he's always talking about how I'm wearing a sweatshirt and he doesn't like it because he hates me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? Let me think about Eric Wallen today. I'm going to wear a T-shirt to the show, and he's not even here. So day
Figures.
wasted. Honestly, day wasted.
Figures.
Somebody message him. Somebody who talks with Eric on a regular basis, go harass him and tell him what he's missing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sad. But with that said, T-Shroom, let's go ahead and jump into it for about the next 9 minutes. Let's talk stocks. Let's talk
Mhm.
the market. What are you seeing happening this morning? And what are you big on? What are you small on? What are you hating? What are you loving?
Right. Well, Tim, I'm glad you asked. Getting over to my charts, you can see this is Apple on the 4-hour. It's coming down to test this purple line, which is the extreme, usually marking the extreme low of a pattern before it moves into a new cycle. So what you're seeing here is the market reacting to Apple's less than desirable earnings, showing that I believe it was iPhone sales were down. So as you can see here, this is a gap. This is a gap, folks. So more than likely, this is going to come back up and probably test all-time highs if everything in the market stays the same. If everything with the Fed, the momentum there, everything with the the elections don't go too crazy against the stock market. More than likely, from a pure stock market standpoint, Apple should retrace, come back at the upside, and move back into this nice little healthy, sustainable degree, whatever this degree angle is, up towards infinity. But right now, it's having a nice little pullback. If you have wanted to get some exposure to Apple, now is probably going to be the best time in the next year or so in terms of a percentage dip. So I would snag that up if you're thinking about it. Not financial advice, obviously. Taking a look at the market, and so take a look at the market open here of some of the indexes. You can see the NASDAQ has come down below and has failed to get back above this uptrending line here, which is now resistance. It's in the equilibrium zone on the 4-hour. So it's in a nice, well-priced zone. You could make the argument of, but back over on the 1-day chart, you can kind of see that the Nasdaq has been on a tear. It's been doing pretty well, and it's looking like that's not going to slow down. It's gotten down below this uptrending line of what was support and now is resistance. But as you can see, it hasn't obeyed that line all that well in the past, and I'd say more than likely it's kind of just like a little more of a guide of the direction that it wants to move. Let's take a look at the.
Well, real quick,
Go ahead.
because there was a question asked. I want to use these corners again to really even help answer questions.
Mhm.
I want you guys to ask questions in chat, just like who just asked this. I think Elliot Locke just asked this. Great question, because we're looking here at the Nasdaq T-stream on your screen,
Mhm.
and it said you go, keep sharing your screen. It's fine because we want to look at it because he's talking about the gap above, and the question is, don't gaps normally get filled? Great
Mhm.
question, Elliot Locke. If anyone is trading, you don't see gaps often on crypto, but in the stock market and in futures trading, you see them happen quite often. So,
Mhm.
short answer, Elliot, the answer is yes. But here is one thing to keep in mind. We could fill that today. We absolutely could. We're very close to it. We could see a pump happen and fill that today, but we don't have to see that fill, especially when it's to the upside. Guys, all these markets, no matter what the next couple of weeks and months and years look like, they move up into the right. So I promise you that gap is going to be filled at some point, but it does not have to happen right now. Now, I'm not saying it won't. Again, it very much could happen literally as we're speaking live because we're very close to it. But it does not have to fill right now. That's a gap that we could see fill much later on when we're making the next bullish push. You see it happen quite frequently towards tops. And that's a question I'm kind of sitting here with T-Shroom. We mentioned this last week that the NASDAQ is losing momentum very, very much so. And so potentially was that a top gap that will not get filled until there's the next wave of bullish momentum? We'll have to wait and see. Again, if it happens today, good for it, good for NASDAQ. If it does not, gaps do fill, but they do not have to fill within like the next 24, 48 hours. They could fill literally a whole year later. and it still fits the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you go back in history and you can find gaps way down, 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 down on charts that probably will never fill on indexes, right? Or it'll take a very long time. Looks like Coinbase just got a Coinbase alert. If you heard that, I'm sorry about that, but it's very high pitch. But yeah, you can see there's another gap down here as well on the weekly charts down here at 14.3, right? So you can make an argument that the Nasdaq needs to come down and correct down to that gap. But outside of gaps, I mean, I would say that there's mostly bullish forces behind the indexes, behind U.S. equities, and then that's reflected here on this oscillator here. It's just been peaking out, putting in higher highs, right? And essentially what that is indicating is that risk is back in session. There hasn't been a strong motivation for risk on in quite some time, a few months. And so now, ever since around January, right, ever since those rates started to kind of show signs and rumors of a pause or even a cut started coming back into the conversation, that's when a movement to the upside began to ensue. And then we had a couple of really positive earnings seasons as well. I believe Q1 earnings season that is announced in Q2 was particularly bullish. So just to continue, so my prediction here is that we'll see kind of some sideways movement on the Nasdaq. You won't see such a stark movement to the upside anymore. But you will continue to see upside with these somewhat dramatic dips coming back and coming back down through what was support. So that's the Nasdaq. If you can't, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it because of where it is in proximity to my little box. There we go. I can show it there. You can see the Bitcoin miners here are all down pretty starkly today. Clean Spark down 2.8. Marathon down 4%. So not a super bullish look for the Bitcoin miners today, but that has that can change. And hey, when prices are down, that's maybe when you want to buy. We can pull up the Marathon digital chart back on the weekly, and you can see that it's well below the equilibrium, and it's definitely well below the premium here on the weekly. It's didn't even come down and touch the discount price though, Marathon Digital on the weekly chart. So it's come down and was rejected for the most part. It did wick through, but this breaker block here, and is more than likely going to make a move back down to test the midline, the 20 SMA on the Bollinger Band. So that's a good summary of kind of where the miners are. You do have Palantir earnings about today, I believe, so that's something to keep abreast on. But really the biggest story today in the stocks is kind of seeing which way and how aggressively Apple gets bought. And so far it looks like it's going to test lower before it goes higher because it is down 0.8% right now.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'd say that's and the Apple is, I think, after Microsoft, is the strongest weighted stock in the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones. So all things to keep in mind. It's a very influential stock.
Well, we're about to transition, guys, into our second segment. Again, new flow of the show. If you guys are just joining, we're going to start having these corners in the back half of the show. Today's going to be a discussion about the IRS, but we have some breaking news coming from a super chat from Army Piper saying, breaking news, PayPal just released a stablecoin built on Paxos. If you share my screen here, we're not going to be able to go deep into it because it's just happened. This is from Bloomberg this morning. Pretty much the exact same thing Piper just said here. Oh, and it doesn't let me read anything. It let me have something a second ago. It had like a whole section I could read. Oh, and it's making it hard. Well, if I read the faint levels of this, I don't want to pay for you. PayPal Holdings rolling out a stablecoin, the first by a large venture company, a potentially significant boost to the sluggish adoption of digital tokens for payments. PayPal USD is issued by Paxos Trust, is fully backed by the US dollar deposits. Short-term, this is really faint, guys, short-term treasuries and similar cash equivalents. The San Jose, California-based payments company said on Monday, and it's pegged to the dollar and will be gradually available. Can't read that one. Sorry. That's all we got. Now that you guys have just joined the segment of the show where Tim reads hard things on Bloomberg, but could be interesting. We're about to unpack this further in a future show. This is not what we had planned to discuss today, but quick thoughts on it. I'm going to give my 2 cents. Tisham, you give your 2 cents, and then we're going to move on. I think it could be interesting, but I don't love PayPal. Of course, PayPal, we all know, has been in hot water when it comes to the crypto community over the last year, because it looks like they are kind of in line with helping the government regulate and maybe potentially even take money from civilians that the government doesn't like. Not a big fan of PayPal. It is interesting to see a large company have a stablecoin, but that's my initial thoughts. T-Shroom, do you have any initial thoughts before we get into this IRS stuff?
Yeah, I think what it is it's signaling, continued development and warming towards TradFi, towards crypto, right? I mean, you've seen BlackRock really take a giant leap into the pool of crypto here with teasing this Bitcoin ETF, and Larry Fink going on CNBC in the most public financial canvas out there, and preaching the good word of Bitcoin in all the ways that Bitcoin audience likes to hear it. And I think this move here is just a continuing of that positive momentum from TradFi into the crypto space. Now, it's not all great, right? Because what does that mean? It means probably centralization, right? It probably means that these whales, as in TradFi, just in general, as this continues and as Bitcoin looks like it's going to take a dip to go test some lows, down maybe even to 25 or lower if there's a bearish event, they're going to probably scoop up quite a bit of crypto, not just Bitcoin, but a lot of the different blockchains, and then it'll become a little less decentralized in terms of coin holdings. So, it's not all positive, but it is something, that we have been waiting on, which is institutional adoption by TradFi. And all TradFi really is, I mean, there's control by certain powerful individuals, but it's just the people's money, right, up in banks. And there's also a lot of private money in institutions that is just managing money for corporations as well. So it's not just the people's money, right? But it's also corporate money and pensions and different things like that. But all of that pent up demand to buy the best currency around has kind of been held back by regulation. And this headline from PayPal is just kind of saying, hey, a major corporation is feeling comfortable with coming out with a scary new product that we're not really sure how it's going to be handled by the SEC, right? And so they're feeling confident in that. They're feeling that their stakeholders are going to be protected. That means that the regulation is there. It's getting to the point of clarity where these corporations are feeling confident in crypto.
Boom. Well, we are running behind in our new formatted segment, T-Shroom. It's time to enter our discussion. So I want you kind of lay the floor real quickly, and with the rest of our next 7 minutes, we're going to dive into this discussion. If it runs a little over, that's fine. We'll take a little time away from our predictions. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, every single Republican presidential nominee is running with some form of a platform to defund, get rid of, kind of cripple something about the IRS. T-Shroom, can you kind of paint a picture for us? What is going on? What are some recent articles that people need to be aware of?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's not just the IRS, Tim, but it's just a lot of the different monetary touch points within the government. Very recently, yesterday, presidential candidate Vivek said this. Presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy says he will fire 90% of the Federal Reserve staff if elected, which is pretty crazy. It's not something that folks are anticipating coming out of the mouth of Vivek, but as he grows in momentum, I think he's even beating DeSantis in Ohio, or he's close to doing that. He's not somebody that you can just brush off anymore, and he said this as recently as yesterday, so August 6th. So it's something to keep in mind. He said it on Fox Business. And then taking a look over here at President Trump, this was some time ago, right? This was August 5th. So earlier in last week, but President Trump said he will end the expansion of the 87,000 IRS agents that were trying to take your money and destroy your lives if elected in 2024. So trying to make the case for re-electing Donald Trump there is the candidate. And then also you have Ron DeSantis saying he would eliminate 4 federal agencies if elected president. And those 4, and this is from a little while ago, this is from June 28th, but not quite out of the public consciousness yet. He said, we would do education, we would do commerce, and we would do energy, and we would do the IRS. And that's kind of the big one that we'll probably camp out on today. Kind of talking to Martha McCallum on Fox News, that's what he said. So, there's a lot of momentum, just as you said, Tim, to have the GOP candidates come out and say, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that needs to stop all this spending, and it's something also that needs to be just kind of fully removed." And this all comes also on the backdrop of this story, which is the Pentagon admits to a stunning 6.2 billion accounting error, which means it can now provide even more aid to Ukraine. Here's exactly, and that was from July 26th. So that's kind of the backdrop too of just it's not like, oh, we spent a bunch of money at one point in time. It's we're spending a lot of money and we don't even know where it's going right now in Q3, right? The one we're in right now. So Tim, I kind of begs the question of what is going to happen to the IRS.
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those things. If any Republican wins, I think it's going away. I think the IRS is at least going to be seriously inhibited. Again, we have from the Trump saying he's just going to deal with the 87,000. You have DeSantis saying he's going to get rid of the entire system to in general. This also, the reason why this is really important is thinking through some other articles and things that have come back into the light. This isn't new information, but it's reminding people of things. So for example, back in 2022, when this was issued, when Biden and his whole posse decided we're going to hire 87,000 new IRS agents to keep Americans from avoiding taxes and trying to have tax runarounds. Well, what about here just a couple months later? The Pentagon fails. The Pentagon has never passed an audit. They never know where their money is going. Now, is that because they do things that they can't let the public know about for national security purposes? I don't know. I'm assuming that's going to be their defense. But the point still stands. Go in, I guarantee you, audit the U.S. government. Audit any one of these congressmen who make these fantastic trades. I'm talking about phenomenal trades, perfect timing of the buy, perfect timing of the sell. It's just absolutely crazy. Start auditing some of our government officials and let's find out how fishy they are. I think that's what we're seeing happen, especially when you look at these presidential nominees. It's crazy because DeSantis is one of my favorite people. Again, living in Florida for the majority of my life, I really appreciated him as the governor there. He's still the governor in Florida, but he's probably the politician of the group running for the Republican Party. Vivek is not a politician. Trump for sure is not a politician. I think what we're seeing happen is the Republican Party is really moving towards anti-politicians and just people who actually want to see the country do better, whereas the Democratic Party is going to continue just to push politicians. And how sad is it, T-Shroom? I mean, there's no way that the Democratic Party is excited that they're going to have to run a Joe Biden campaign again. There's no way they're excited. But let's look around. They don't want to support RFK because the thing about RFK that makes him special is he's a politician who understands politics and is tired of the chaos and tired of the lack of integrity. So he's an integral politician running. They don't want him to run. Who are their other options? Who else could the Democrats actually support and see win the presidential nominee other than Joe Biden? And I don't think Joe Biden's going to be able to win it. So really sad day for the Democratic Party. But you're seeing on the Republican side this overwhelming, it's time to drain the swamp. It's time to get rid of all this hypocritical political nonsense where the government wants you as a civilian to be completely honest and to pay your fair share, and they want to know every single place that your dollar is going, but then they're not willing to do the same. This isn't a political channel, but I said this before, guys. We're going to start speaking about politics, and anyone who gets upset about it and says, keep it to crypto, stay away from politics, I got some bad news for you. Crypto has become political. It is literally impossible to talk about crypto and not talk about politics. Impossible. You cannot do it because right now the biggest war on it is coming from political agendas happening all over the world. So what I'm seeing right here, I think the days of the IRS are numbered because I do believe we will see, at worst for the Republicans, RFK win, which I don't think is going to happen, but I would love to see RFK win. Or when I say at worst, I mean like at worst for Republicans, that means a Republican doesn't win. I think realistically, not that I'm voting for him, and I'm not going to actually probably say until closer to the election who I'm voting for because I actually don't know who I'm going to vote for. I think the most realistic expectation at this point, T-Shroom, is that Trump very realistically might be the next president again after taking 4 years off and reloading. Trump could win again. I think Vivek has some interesting points. I just don't know if Vivek is known well enough to make a serious run. I think DeSantis kind of got a false start. I don't think he really got a good start to this campaign. I'm interested to see what he could potentially do in future elections because I really do like DeSantis. But I do believe our next president of the United States is going to be a Republican. And I do believe that the days of the IRS are numbered. And that could be a really cool thing. What's going to be interesting to see is if it's Trump, does he turn pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, or does he try to reemerge the power of the US dollar? That's the one thing I'm kind of curious about. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I think when you talk about somebody like Vivek, I think that he's someone who is probably positioning more to get a VP pick, right? So I would be surprised to hear too
I
much
don't know.
anti-Trump stuff coming out about him. I think he's more kind of like an Andrew Yang play. It's like he's serious about being president, right? He's serious
Right.
about having some control and having a little power, right? But I don't think that he is naive. I think he realizes what the polls show, and although he is growing in the polls, Donald Trump is definitely the 10,000 pound gorilla who is scheduled to win it all
Yeah.
by a lot of different analysis.
Well,
Yeah.
the last thing I'll say to you, Sherman, we'll move on to our predictions because that is going to wrap up our show today. But I saw a poll that had to have been being done by CNN or something. It was like 50% of Republicans say that if Trump ends up, going to jail or prison, that they are going to abandon him. And I'm like, there's no way. I think that if Trump ends up spending any time behind bars, any true time, that's going to bring even more Republicans out of the woodwork to vote for him. It's just absolutely crazy. So it'll be very interesting to watch. Again, I understand why anyone listening right now is like, oh, I tuned in to talk about crypto and they're talking about politics. But again, news flash for you. You cannot talk crypto and not talk politics anymore. They're just inseparable at this point. So it is what it is. But guys, it is 9:52. It's time to move into our third segment, the final segment of the show today. And that is going to be our first ever weekly price predictions. Now I'm going to lay out the rules for you guys so you understand. Again, I definitely want Piper. I want you to give your take on this. But for everybody else, you're more than welcome in chat to go ahead and put your predictions in chat. But what I do want everyone to do, if you are a silver, gold, or diamond member, go over to Discord if you're in our Discord and get into today. You're going to use just the general chat for not general chat, but the let's see, what is this one called? I always forget the names of all
I
of
think
them.
it's chat room.
Chat room. So go into chat room, put your prediction. We're going to make a special channel for these predictions, but we're going to be predicting what is the highest Bitcoin we'll get this week, what is the lowest Bitcoin we'll get this week. And in case there is a tie between T-Shroom or myself or Piper and myself, we will have a tiebreaker coming in. We'll make that prediction here in a second. But let's go ahead, T-Shroom, and let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Let me scroll back up to it.
Let's do it.
We're kind of break some things down here. Again, we're talking about the next 5 days. Notice here, guys, this is what's really also important. It doesn't matter what's happening on Friday. Some of you guys might remember we used to do the HODL trophy. We tried to predict exactly what Bitcoin price would be like on Friday at 9 or 10 a.m. We're not doing that. We are predicting the highest it will get and the lowest it will get. And to be activated, to have a chance to win, your price has to be activated. So let's say I said the highest I think Bitcoin would get would be like 29,310. And the price only gets to 29,290, right? Even if I'm closer than T Shroom's prediction, because my price never got activated, I do not get to even enter. He automatically wins. So you do have to get things right on both the high and the low. But after that, if both people's prices were activated, then you take on and you say, all right, we will go ahead and count that whoever's closest will win. So if you guys don't understand the rules, again, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to do this every Monday. So you guys will get used to the rules very, very much. So let's go ahead here, T-Shirt. Let's take a look at the chart here. I've already said during the Bitcoin TA that I think that Bitcoin potentially is moving to the downside. I don't know if it can happen quickly, though. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to start with my lowest prediction for Bitcoin. And I got to write this down.
For the week.
Which I'm actually not going to say it because, again, T-Shirt, you got to we got to both write them down at the same time so we don't cheat on each other.
I've got mine written down already on my paper plate.
Let me take a look at some things here. Let's take a look at recent. There we go. All right. So we're kind of hovering right here on value area low. We have some stuff coming on down here at 28.8. Let's take a look at our multi-time frames. The next support line's coming in down all the way at 28.676. Could be very interesting. There's some resistance sitting up here, 29.3, 14 or so. We have our point of control coming in at 29.220. So with all of this information, T-Shroom, let's go ahead and let's write down our high and our low. I
I've
gotta
already
see
got it
here.
written down.
You got yours written down? All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. All right. And we're doing down to the cent.
Down to the cent.
Down to the.
You
We
didn't
talked about
say
this last
that.
night. Down to the cent, just in case we put the same number for some weird reason.
Okay. All right.
There we
I'm
go.
ready when you are.
All right. I have my high. I have my low. You have it written down?
I do.
All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And we did not look at Piper's, so I just now see Piper's in chat, but I wrote mine down before even seeing his in chat. My high is going to be $29,214.52. T-Shirt, what is your high?
My high is $29,698.42.
Wow. So you're the highest because it looks like Piper says 29.4 is his high. All right. All right. Wait, what did I? Oh, I put. By the way, I put my low first, but I accidentally at 29. My low is $28,837. What's your low, T-Shirt?
$28,845.42. There you go.
Okay. And then Piper says 28.5. So I'm like in the middle on all this. Let's see. Can't be a very volatile couple of days for me, or I will not win this one. Again, I kind of played this one conservative. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll kind of watch how the rest of everybody else plays and get a little bit more aggressive. It looks like T-Shirt, you have the highest prediction for the high.
Correct.
For sure. You said 29.6 something?
29,698. So
all right.
What time is it on Friday that we are checking these numbers?
Well, for beginning of the show. Like, so literally at the beginning of the show, it'll be locked in. Whatever price was at the beginning of the show, we'll know who won, who lost. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. So it looks like I'm the high, you're the highest, and Piper's the lowest. So if we have some massive movements, you guys could win here. Very, very interesting. Make sure in chat, you guys put your predictions in there. If you agree with one of us, put who you agree with the most. Again, I probably was a little too conservative, but I chose what I chose, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Let's see as we close out the show today. We only have about 2 minutes left. Let's engage with chat. Any questions you guys have, any thoughts? We're going to go through here. DCA and Prey said those large green candles on the left act as gaps, and they should fill all the way to the bottom. I think, is he talking about Bitcoin, or is he talking about, is that going back to something else? I'm not 100% sure. I think he's talking about the wicks. Yeah, okay. He's talking about, let me see. Go back to his comment. He said, I think he's kind of alluding to where it wicks, it'll candle stick. So is he maybe saying all the way down 28, that 28.4. Was that, what was Piper's? Piper's was 28.5. So Piper's kind of leaning on that. Piper is saying we're going down and kind of closing, or at least going down and re-wicking back where wicks went to down here just a couple of weeks ago. Very interesting point there, DC and Prey. I think the answer is yes, it will. My hesitation is with how boring the news is this week, and we're waiting on a lot of things to be said. I wonder if this week's going to be really boring in Bitcoin price. So the reason I'm a little more conservative is I just don't know if a lot of movements will happen this week, but it could be interesting.
It could be led by Ethereum because the PayPal stablecoin is on Ethereum. It could be led by that if there's an anticipation for one reason or another. I guess that would be people flocking into Ethereum to stake and anticipating higher transaction volumes. We do have a couple more stories that we could potentially cover here in the final seconds.
Well, we have 1 minute here, T-Shirt. We're gonna wrap it out. We'll cover some more stories based on every single morning. We're coming up with new segments, and so any stories that are making it interesting, we will definitely cover those. Also, here's what the other thing that everyone knows: in case there are stories you guys think are big, we're still gonna be posting stories we find interesting over in Discord. So make sure you join our free Discord, and any stories that we find relevant or any of you guys find relevant, we can post in there, and you can read up on them and stay up to date on your crypto knowledge. Again, new flow to the show. It's going to take us probably a couple of shows to get into the groove, but I do believe that this overall, the long haul, is going to be a much more interesting, educational, and engaging show. So if you guys are excited, make sure on your way out you smash the like button. It is 10 a.m., everybody, so that does mean we are closing out for the day, but thank you so much for choosing the Investing Bros this morning. We will be back tomorrow morning, the same time, same place. Love you guys. You guys have a great day.
make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividends. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.